Hardship. Something defined as a condition that causes difficulty or suffering. It is a feeling felt by most who walk the earth in many various ways, but people aren't the only things that are able to succumb to this condition. Yes, the gamer chair that keeps you elevated off the ground in supreme comfort each day dreads the moment that your stinky ass makes contact, as it has to endure way more than just the pressure. I bet you didn't expect that one, did you? Well, it is true, your chair has to endure the hardships of the gluteus maximus plus surroundings. It has to deal with nothing in comparison to a certain video game that released back in 2022. Really? Ugh. We're going with this joke, even though the thumbnail clearly has Digimon in it? Well, we're just gonna fix that real quick, because today, it's all about the tragic tale of a clearly way more important title, Digimon Survive. Digimon Survive began development sometime in 2017. Bandai Namco had given Digimon game series producer Kazumasa Habu a smaller budget when compared to the other titles in the series, thus they made the decision to create a visual novel. The project was outsourced to game developers Witchcraft, with Habu overseeing the production. The game would first be revealed in a July 2018 issue of the Japanese magazine V-Jump for the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. The Western version was announced by Bandai Namco on YouTube, with Xbox One and Steam being added to the list of platforms, as well as a release year of 2019. To the heartbreak of many Digimon fans across the globe, the game wouldn't greet players that year, as Kazumasa Habu deemed that the original budget and smaller studio was inadequate to achieve his vision, and that the title had to be redeveloped from scratch in a different game engine. This pushed back the release to 2020, though this release date would not be met due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as during this global crisis, it was difficult to work as most people were advised to stay home to prevent infection. The game would undergo drastic changes during this part of development. During 2020, Bandai Namco announced that the game would release in 2021. However, this release time again would not be met, as the company remained silent for most of the year. It was not until October 28, 2021 that Bandai Namco would officially state that the game was not releasing that year and that it was delayed again to 2022. Digimon Survive would finally be released on the 29th of July 2022 worldwide, with Japan receiving it a day prior. Survive opened with a very successful launch. It was the best-selling game globally on Steam, ahead of indie sensation Stray, which had launched a week prior. Within 48 hours, Survive had solidified its spot in 3rd place and sat at 10th place for a week. The game was within the top 10 sales for its release week on consoles globally, with Japan and Australia having the highest rankings, as they were ranked 2nd and 3rd respectively. While sales of the game would go on to reach at least 500,000 by the start of December that year, Digimon Survive wouldn't be able to maintain its time in the spotlight for very long. Playing Digimon Survive felt like reading over the shoulder of someone who's taking too long to turn the page. These are the words of Kotaku's Isaiah Colbert, who thought that Digimon's latest tactical RPG wasn't worth the suffering that playing the game gave him. This was a sentiment not only felt by this man, but many people across the world. A lot of comments came forth shortly after the release of the title from far and wide about various elements of Survive's gameplay. Some said that the technical elements were not fleshed out enough. Others spoke of how the game often felt slow, and some even felt that the game as a whole was bland. These comments would ultimately cause the confusion of the identity of Digimon Survive. Digimon Survive is a visual novel first and foremost. The game was designed not to be played just once, but multiple times. The game boasts various different ending paths which become very apparent to the player after their first playthrough of the title. There are various decisions that the player can make throughout the game, with the title's dialogue choices and free time segments. The tactical battle elements of Survive took the focus away from the visual novel elements, causing a rift between some users and the title. Many users would forget the original intention of Digimon Survive, and this would ultimately be the beginning of the title's downfall. Fans of the Digimon game franchise had come to know something else of the series. Some of their fondest memories of the games were being able to raise and battle with their Digimon throughout various different realms, as well as befriending and gathering the digital monsters throughout their journey. With this being the main focus of the prior entries in the series, it is easy to see why Survive fell through the cracks. Survive's battles do not replicate this feeling quite like those games did, thus the connection that most players had was pulled out of the power socket and was lost to them until something could replace that void in their heart. This wouldn't affect all players who spent their time with Takuma and the others, however, as some did acknowledge that the title was a new Digimon experience to which they also enjoyed the twists and turns that the tale had to offer. Though these voices would make up quite a large number of players, they would not be as loud as the majority and could not save Survive's plummet into obscurity. Not long after the launch of Digimon Survive, the game became irrelevant and ultimately was forgotten. While this statement certainly doesn't resonate with every fan who played the title, the game's popularity saw a decline each and every day after it had finally made its way to consumers. Digimon Survive had the most attention surrounding it during the pandemic when the game failed to release, as it had been a few years since the world was greeted with a new Digimon title. With the game becoming more delayed, not only was there an increased demand to see the title, but this likely caused expectations from the player base to increase, which would ultimately cause great disappointment for those who went down that path when the title finally released. With attention surrounding Survive diminishing, prices in retail stores would begin to lower so they could make way for newer and more shinier stock. The discussions, excitement, and sales would eventually mostly cease within a couple of months, mostly due to an overall misunderstanding of what Survive was supposed to be. The game that Kazumasa Habu fought to keep alive for years would ultimately not survive the winter and would be left to perish after years of hard work. Digimon Survive's theme of tragedy had broken the boundaries of the game and made its way into the real world. The game wouldn't resonate with players the way that it was intended due to confusion of what the game's overall purpose was. The game was plagued with misfortune since the start of the development phase, and the sales numbers on launch wouldn't reflect the general opinion of the game that followed that event. After years of creating the title and the hype generated around the game during development, the fate of the visual novel would ultimately be dictated by the tactical combat system as well as prior entries in the series. This is not to say that all who consumed this piece of media would come to dislike or simply think it's average. Though with a vast majority of the population sharing these opinions, Digimon Survive would ultimately become an obscure piece of media, which would be forgotten by the masses. Thanks everyone for watching this video. I want to know your opinions about Digimon Survive in the comments section down below. It's always interesting to read what people have to say about Survive, as opinions on this title can vary greatly. I enjoyed the game myself, but did feel as though the battles could be a bit sluggish at times. Did you enjoy the video? If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this in the future. Now with that all being said and done, my name is Resident Unleashed, the resident who wanted to tell the story of Digimon Survive and unleashed it out into the world, and I'll catch you all next time.